Wellness for Life is brought to you by Purim Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, and Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership.
Hello, I'm Matthew Kaufenberg, physical therapist and owner of Purim Physical Therapy. You know, winter is over, the sun is shining, the snow is melting. It's time for us to get outside and start doing some activity. Have you ever thought about running? Running is a phenomenal exercise. A lot of people are concerned about running. They're concerned that it may cause injury, it might cause some arthritis down the line, but in actuality it's a very good exercise to start. There was a wonderful study done that was published out of Denmark 2 or 3 years ago that showed that those people who ran, on average, had about a 6-year longer life expectancy. Running is a phenomenal exercise to get going. Now, people who do run, they do experience pain and they do experience injury. You know, about 50 to 60% of runners will at some point have some sort of injury. So it's really important that we think about risk factors associated with running and injury. The risk factors for men and women are a little bit different, but we can learn from both sets of risk factors. So for women, the most common risk factors for injury with running are running on concrete. The older you are, the more likely you potentially could develop an injury. Doesn't mean you shouldn't run, it just means you are at a little higher risk of developing an injury. If you run more than 30 miles per week as a woman, that could potentially increase your risk for an injury. And the final risk factor that we found through research is that if you don't change your running shoes every 6 months, that potentially could increase your risk of injury. Now for men, what we have found with research is that if you run more than 25 miles a week, you're at a little bit higher risk of injury. If you were a runner as a man and then stopped running and then started running again a couple years later, that does increase your risk for potentially having a running-related injury. A couple of other risk factors associated with injury for men would be if you've had a prior injury. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a running injury. It could be any particular injury. We've found that that does potentially increase your risk for having a running-related injury. So, a lot of times people ask me, what is the best way to run? There really isn't a best way to run, but what I can tell you, I can sum it up in one simple sentence. When you run, you want to run as if you are sneaking up on somebody. So what does that mean? That means you want to run with very soft landing. You do want to run at a fairly quick pace, but you want to land softly, and you want to run with very short strides. So as you're running, think about that. Think about, you want to be running as if you are sneaking up on somebody. Probably what I have discovered through reading research is probably the most important thing with running is you want to have a very high cadence. What that means is you want to have a lot of steps while you're running. So what most of the research shows is that if you run at a cadence of 163 steps per minute, so I mean literally you have to kind of count your steps while you're running. If you run at a pace of 163 steps per minute, you have about a 67% chance of injuring yourself. However, if you run at a pace of 168 steps per minute, so just a little bit faster, you actually only have a 22% chance of injuring yourself. So the cadence within which you run is really critical for reducing your injury risk. So some common mistakes that people make with running. One of the mistakes is that they run with too long of a stride. Remember, you want short strides with a high cadence. If you have a very long stride, you're going to really increase the amount of force on your joints. The other mistake people make is that they bounce too much when they run. You know, they run up and down. They have vertical displacements when they run, and you really don't want to do that. One of the things that drives a vertical displacement while running is using your arms too much. When you're running, you really just want your arms to be relaxed. You don't really want to pump too much with your arms. If you do that, you'll actually vertically displace your body. You'll bounce more, and then you'll land on your joints, increasing the force on your joints. The final mistake that people make with running is that they don't listen to their body. If you are running and you start to hurt, you really just need to kind of stop. Just listen to your body, talk with a doctor, talk with a physical therapist. Final question that I get a lot when I talk to people about running is, does running cause arthritis? And the answer is no, running does not cause arthritis. In fact, the research that's out there shows that running actually reduces the risk of arthritis. One of the main reasons is because we lose weight, and so there's less force on our joints with everyday activities. The other really exciting thing that we're starting to see with research is that when you run and after you run, you actually decrease the chemicals in your body that cause inflammation. Inflammation is the driver for arthritis. So when we run, we actually decrease the likelihood of becoming inflamed. If you want to run, if you're concerned about running, give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you about running. If you have an injury related to running, give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. My number is 218-346-2464. Have fun running.
Thank you for watching Wellness for Life. Brought to you by Purim Physical Therapy, Gothenburg Chiropractic Clinic, and Mojave Ottawa Community Action Partnership.